What do you feel helped you go from survival mode to really building yourself up?
It doesn't look like a person climbing up a mountain slowly. What it looks like for me is a person starting at the bottom of a mountain, taking a few steps up, and then tumbling down, and
Mhm.
then taking a few more steps up, and then tumbling down, and then falling down in a ditch.
Mm.
And then picking themselves back up, dusting themselves off, being mad, and continuing to walk up until eventually you start making tiny, tiny progress. And
Mm.
this takes a long time because my abuse happened for so many years. It's
Yeah.
what I knew, and it was like embedded in my DNA.
Hey, beautiful, and welcome to Girl, Get Your Groove Back, the podcast for boss women and busy moms who are ready to stop surviving and start thriving. I'm your host, Coach Jamila, total wellness coach, mom of 5, and your no fluff guide to real energy, hormone harmony, emotional balance, and confident living. Here, we're going to have real talk about the things that really matter, like mindset shifts, movement that fits your real life, smart nutrition, sustainable self-care, and the relationships that shape us. Whether you're just starting out or already getting your groove back, girl, this space is here to help you rise, evolve, and glow from the inside out. Today's guest is living proof that your past doesn't define your power. She's a fitness trainer, a professional model, and a force of nature. But what makes her story so powerful isn't just the body she's built, it's the strength she found in the process. Coach Cat turned her pain into purpose and used movement to transform her life from the inside out. If you're ready for real talk, real strength, and a whole lot of fire, you don't want to miss this episode. So let's go from broken to beast mode with the one and only Coach Cat. Make sure you subscribe, share, and leave me a review. Let's get into it. Hello, hello, and welcome to Girl, Get Your Groove Back. I am Coach Jamila, and I'm here with my beautiful, amazing friend and fitness trainer, Coach Cat. Hey, girl, hey.
What's going on? Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, I'm so excited. For those of you who haven't seen, it's like now we are switching because usually I'm on her podcast, but now I want her on my podcast. And I'm so excited. And today's episode is really empowering. I believe so many of you are going to be just enlightened and empowered. But when I thought about this title, From Broken to Beast Mode, you resonated with me so much, okay? Because this girl right here is a beast in every aspect, in my personal opinion. So let's just go ahead and dive in. I really want to just kind of talk about your journey, what got you to where you are today. And when I think about your journey, the first thing I want to think about is let's just rewind for a minute. Tell me a little bit about your broken season. What did that feel like? What was that like? And share as much as you want and as much as you don't want.
A broken season is an interesting way of wording it because that season felt like a couple of decades. If a
Mm.
season could go on for a couple of decades, honestly, I would say it started from age 5 or younger all the way through early 20s. And that had a lot to do with having a very dysfunctional family
Yes.
and being in survival mode from an early age all the way through adulthood, and then discovering that I can change my past and I can become empowered and the healing journey is possible, but it's going to be long and it's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. And what do you feel, as you got into your 20s, what do you feel prompted you or pushed you to say, there's some work that needs to be done?
I think I always felt like I didn't have good role models for loving relationships.
Mm.
And I was always just trying to figure it out through movies and TV shows and stories I read in books. And the thing that's coming up is I was eligible for Medicaid when I was, I think, 20 or 21. And so I took advantage of that opportunity and I found myself a psychologist and I decided to see a therapist for the first time as an adult. And that was the real start of unlocking a lot of stuff that I had pushed deep down inside that wasn't ready to be addressed quite yet.
That's interesting. A lot of us, including myself, I didn't go to therapy at all until I was an adult. And I think it's such a pivotal aspect of life. I think everybody should do therapy, even if you feel like you don't need to, because it opens up a lot of questions and allows you to reflect on a lot of things. Before the beast mode, like the cat that I know, you are very intentional, right? Intentional about so many things. You're very reflective. You're very aware of your body. You're very disciplined. Before the beast mode, before the modeling, before the muscles, because girl, you are definitely in shape. Who do you feel that you were when no one was watching?
I felt like a shadow.
Mm,
I felt insignificant. I felt small. I felt unimportant. I felt unloved. I felt undeserving of love. I felt like I would never amount to much. I felt broken. I felt damaged. I felt like damaged goods. There was no way of redeeming myself from the things that had happened to me and the things that I had done in childhood and very early adulthood. I never thought I would amount to much. That's the truth. And something inside of me wanted more, though. I think there was enough inspiration around me, maybe in people that didn't realize they were impacting me. Maybe it was just in movies. Maybe it was glimmers of people that I saw from a distance where I
mm,
thought, that's aspirational. Hey, if they can do it, is there a possibility that I could do it? I've
mm,
never really thought about it before, but there's always been something inside of me that has wanted to heal and
mm,
just be normal, just be
mhm.
healthy, not really go for the stars. The
Yeah.
stars were not within reach, they were unattainable, and that's only something you dream about. But I just wanted to be healthy.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I feel like so many women, people in general, will feel that, will resonate with that. Because how many people are watching us? And we may not know that we are inspiring them, right? How many people are we watching that have no idea they are being an inspiration to others? And so I think that was a great point that you made. We have no idea what people have been through. But by living our lives, we oftentimes are inspirations to others. And your healing journey, it's interesting because, again, the cat that I know, I would never think that you would have felt that I can't reach for the stars because, of course, the way you talk now is it's abundance. We are living in abundance. It's just amazing to see the journey and how, quite honestly, a lot of the things that you went through have become a part of your purpose, right? Like you're walking in purpose and inspiring so many people more than you think. So, if you're okay with it, going back to your childhood, even thinking about how you said, I want to just be healthy. I always knew that I just wanted to be normal. Were there parts of your childhood that you remember where you had those moments, those thoughts? And if so, in adulthood, did you kind of grasp onto that part of you as a child? Does that make sense?
So you're asking, were there moments where I knew, even when I was young, that I wanted to be healthy?
Healthy and not just physically, but healthy emotionally.
Growing up, you only know what you're exposed to, and that's your norm. I was raised by a single father who acquired full custody of my little sister and I at a very
Mm,
young age. And, my dad came from trauma. And because he didn't have the resources, the time, the energy, the money, all the things, he did the best that he could. And I've had to really, accept that. And
yeah.
I'm happy to say that I have a really good, healthy relationship with my father today. But growing up, that was a different
Mm,
story. I was in survival mode. He was in his own form of survival mode. And I knew that there were a lot of things that should not have happened and
yeah.
that did happen that inflicted a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of anger. And, on top of that, it was not only there wasn't only physical violence, mental and emotional abuse. Before
Mm,
that, there was sexual abuse, not by him, but the whole enchilada. Just
yeah.
trying to lighten the mood a little bit because it can be heavy. And I will say that one of the ways that I coped with it was by being funny. And
Mm.
being really attracted to those who made me laugh, and also singing. Singing was
Mm.
when I felt free. So when I had to swallow all of those feelings and I wasn't allowed to cry and I wasn't allowed to feel pain and anger and upset and I had to hold it in, which is incredibly unhealthy and leads to a lot
Yeah.
of distress, possibly disease, all these things. I
Yeah.
belted it out. I was the little girl in choir class that just belted it out from like my guts. I didn't
Mm.
sing up here. I sang low and it was so round and robust, and that was me cleansing. That was me
Mm.
purging things that I wasn't allowed to
Mm.
express in healthy ways, in other healthy ways. So song and music saved me. And I just knew during some of like the more violent and traumatic times that I knew that that wasn't normal, because I started seeing my friends' parents, and I was
Mm.
like, well, wait a minute, there's no abuse happening here. They seem to all get along. I want that for
Yeah.
myself. And I've had lots of moments like that. But when you're young, again, you only know what you know and
Yeah.
what you're exposed to. It wasn't until I got older and I started seeing around me what healthy relationships and healthy family dynamics looked like.
Mm. I just want to pause for a moment because I really appreciate Little Cat and how, like you said, as a child, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know, man, my nervous system needs to be regulated. I'm in survival mode. These are the steps I should take. Like, you just don't know that. You do the best that you can. And I love the fact that you were the girl in choir who was belting it out from her soul, right? And it really makes me think as a child. I know there were several people who probably were going through trauma at home, and there were ways that they were going through their own healing journey. Was it that little girl who was, I'm like, "Ooh, that girl can sing. You know, that girl is singing from her soul." Or was it the one who is highly emotional and had to be walked out of class all the time because she didn't know how to express her emotions any other way? It's why it's so important for us to be gentle with people and stop being so judgmental, because you really never know what people are going through. So I appreciate how you navigated that season of life through music and through looking at other people as inspirations and understanding, like, this is not healthy. This is not a healthy dynamic. I'm curious, you kind of told me what helped you flip the switch in a sense, right? What do you feel helped you go from survival mode to really building yourself up?
I think it happens in very, very small steps. I
Hmm.
think there was always a goal of wanting to be healthy and not knowing what that journey was going to look and feel like. And it doesn't look like a person climbing up a mountain slowly. What it looks like for me is a person starting at the bottom of a mountain, taking a few steps up, and then tumbling down, and
Hmm.
then taking a few more steps up, and then tumbling down, and then falling down in a ditch,
Mm.
and then picking themselves back up, dusting themselves off, being mad, and continuing to walk up until eventually you start making tiny, tiny progress. And
Mm.
this takes a long time because my abuse happened for so many years. It's
Yeah.
what I knew, and it was like embedded in my DNA. It just felt like that is so a part of me now. And to break out of that, it takes years of training. I'm going to use the example of training because I work as a personal trainer and I know how hard it can be for people to transform their bodies and their minds. And it's the
Mm.
same thing with trauma and abuse, is it might take years to undo the negative effects of those kinds of events. And so I just always continued up the mountain until I've like literally got to this point in my mid 30s, early 30s, where I was climbing and summiting actual mountains. I was
Wow.
putting myself in the most challenging situations, like being in the Amazonian rainforest and being eaten alive by mosquitoes and tripping on ayahuasca and putting myself in Spartan races, half marathons, doing CrossFit for years, just always challenging myself, saying, I felt the pain in doing all of these things. 10-day silent meditation retreats where you don't say anything, you don't talk to anyone, you just focus on what's there. And it's scary sometimes what comes up when there's only silence. Because then it's very confronting. All of those little demons that might live within you, they start to come up and they start to surface and they want to rear their ugly heads. And so I think that my journey has looked a lot of different ways, but it's always been challenging me to say, like, hey, you went through some tough shit when you were young. You're going to go through different tough stuff as an adult, but it's on your terms. You decide if that you're going to go through it because you know you can. This is good for you. This is your opportunity to grow, and you know you can persevere. So that's what I've been doing. Now I'm at this beautiful point where I'm in my mid-40s.
Yeah.
And I don't need to put myself through those kinds of challenges anymore. It's a different kind of challenge where I'm so much more gentle and I'm so much more nurturing. The tough love, I respect the tough love, but I'm becoming a gentler human. I'm becoming much more pliable in my mind and my heart and flexible and understanding, a lot less critical of myself and others. And it's like the next chapter in healing.
I love this, girl. Oh my gosh. Like when you're telling me the story about you're climbing and then you fall back down and you climb and then it's like you fell in a ditch and then you had to climb back up again. The visual of that, everybody doesn't want to go there.
No.
And for you to decide, because that's what you did, you made a decision like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do this. If I fall in the ditch, I'm going to get up and it may be hard, but I'm going to keep climbing. And I'm going to keep climbing and I'm going to keep climbing. What do you feel has made you have that mindset, quite honestly, to keep pushing yourself, even when it hurts, even when it's challenging, even when you feel like you should give up? How did you keep going? How did you keep going when all these obstacles were coming against you?
I never really thought about it until right now. And I'll tell you the first thing that came to my mind. As much as my dad was a source of so much of my pain, he was also the same source for my inspiration. And it's bringing tears to my eyes because that man did a number on me and my sister, but at the same time, he raised us on his own. He was not equipped with the skills, the knowledge, the experience that he needed to be a healthy father and role model for us. But he literally did the best that he could. He put himself through school while he was in the military, in the Marine Corps. And then he went above and beyond and acquired his master's degree. At night, he taught college level courses at a local university. In addition to working all day as a Marine, he ran 2 to 3 times a day, did push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. So I saw someone really trying. He was trying and he was messed up in a lot of other ways because of his own upbringing. And it's not an excuse. It's just what is. But that man was a provider. He did take care of my sister and my needs. He did love us. It's a complex relationship.
Yeah.
But I know he's a really good person. And I have to say it again, he did the very best that he could. So I think that watching my dad go through so much pain of trying to raise 2 little girls on his own and messing up so much along the way, it inspired me to also put myself through hard things and knowing that it's going to be messy and it's okay, just keep going.
Yeah.
Because it was incredibly messy. My own personal journey did not look like me just, walking up a mountain in beautiful REI gear and hiking sticks and plenty of water and electrolytes. What it looked like was somebody who was messed up on some drugs, maybe a little bit of alcohol here and there, hanging out with the wrong people, doing all sorts of things that aren't good for you, but that's what you chose at the time. and you just choose to do a little bit better as time goes on. And over time, just like habits, they start adding up. And if you stay consistent with trying to do better, no matter what, eventually you will get better.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of people are so quick to want to give up when it gets really hard. And I'm sure you can relate with your clients. I'm always like, you're right at the breakthrough. You're almost at the breakthrough. Like, don't stop. Keep going. You're right there on the brink. And if they continue on the journey, then they're like, I did it. The breakthrough is here. And of course, the journey is continuous, right? But I hope that encourages people who are watching to keep going. Everybody's journey isn't the same, but I love how you have been able to say, you know what? He did the best he could. It's not an excuse for what he did do, but I do recognize that he did the best that he could. And it makes us also think, if I was raised like him, what kind of mother would I be? Would I have done things like him? And so I think it's important for us to not make excuses for those people who could have done it better, but to recognize they did do the best they could. And as long as we're on this journey of healing and we're not staying in this victim mentality and we continue to grow, I think there's power in that. It's so empowering. And I so am inspired by you in so many ways. I heard you say too, on the journey, you were hanging out with the wrong people. I'm sure you lost people along the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, losing people along the way when you started to heal, what did that look like for you? And how did you know it was time to let some of these people go?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that when you said sometimes people adopt this victim mentality,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't exempt from that. I lived in a victim mentality for years in my early 20s because I think that was the start of me knowing that bad things were done to me. And I wanted people to recognize that. And I wanted to finally share that. And so I attracted other people into my life who also had a victim mentality. That makes sense. You
Yeah.
attract what you are. So if you're putting out to the world like, hey, I'm owed this and that, and I'm a victim and I had bad things happen to me, then those types of people will also come your way. And I don't take any of that back because there are some beautiful people out there that have had some really shitty things happen to them. And it's just so nice to not feel alone. It feels really, really good to know that life sucked for some other people too. And we went through some similar things, so we don't feel alone. But then after you've had your pity party, so to speak, at some point, the victim mentality gets old and we start to realize, well, wait a minute. We can stay in the victim mentality and we can remain a victim and not grow and just complain for the rest of our lives, or we can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
And so that's when my friendship started to change. And it took a long time. It wasn't instantaneous. And I got rid of all of the people who were keeping me in the same place, or I was keeping them in the same place, because it goes both ways. It was a gradual thing. And this is the way that I say it. This is real talk. I have been upgrading all of my friendships and relationships my entire life. So I was fortunate enough to have some really beautiful friendships at an early age, because when you're young, there's still a purity there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's enough, goodness where I was really lucky to attract some beautiful long-term friendships that I still have to this day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've also attracted in some people who were either that victim mentality, didn't aspire to much, weren't doing a lot with their lives, complaining, negative, spiraling downward. And I have had to let people go. So you said losing people. I didn't lose people. I let people go. Sometimes very abruptly. Like I remember one girl I sent a message to, an email saying like, hey, I really appreciate our friendship, but this is no longer working for me and where I want to go. That was the gist of it. And it was not well received because people do not want to be let go.
Yeah.
They don't want to be let go. And this has happened with a lot of friendships. However, I've also had friendships grow apart and then if we do end up aligning again and coming on the same path, life will find it so that we reconnect. And I've had that happen as well.
Yeah.
I've also brought in new friendships like you, where I met you when I'm at the greatest time in my life. So this is the Cat that you know. And so I know in my heart and I know in my bones that we'll be friends forever because I love who I am today.
Yeah.
And so it's essential and very healthy and very normal to let go of certain friendships that no longer serve you. And I just listened to this beautiful podcast with Simon Sinek the other day, and he said, friendship should be additive. So you add something to their life, they add something to your life. You don't want it to be one-sided. You want there to be some balance there. And is it going to always look perfectly balanced? No. Sometimes we have times when we really need our friend, and
Yeah.
other times it goes the other way. But at the end of the day, it should feel balanced and additive. And I liked the way that he said that. If they're not adding goodness and positivity to your life, then that relationship should really be looked at.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad that we have met. I call you my sister friend because you are. And it's so interesting because even for me, it's hard to let people go. For me, it's even if I know they're not serving me anymore, it's like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I think a lot of people fall under that boat. But I think a part of growth, like you mentioned, is recognizing when it's not additive and maybe it's bringing you down, or maybe it's keeping you in the same place, or you're, like you said, you're keeping them in the same place. If you were to speak to the audience and they're on a healing journey and they're growing and they want to do better for themselves, but they have this friend group, or maybe this one friend, or maybe it's a relationship that they can't let go of, or they're debating, should I let go of it? Should I keep it? What would be your advice to those individuals who are struggling with that? I have to let this person go.
Well, the first thing I would ask them is, why are you holding on to the friendship? What keeps you there? Or what keeps you in this romantic relationship?
Yeah.
Think about that. And then think about, does that add to your life? Does that bring peace? Does that bring joy? Does that bring happiness? Does that bring prosperity? Does that bring abundance? Is that filling you, your heart, your soul in some way? I think that asking yourself why you're doing something is always a good place to start.
Yeah.
And these are not little questions. So it's okay if somebody takes time with this.
Yeah.
A lot of times we stay in friendships or romantic relationships a lot longer than we think we should. But the truth is, we stay in them as long as we're supposed to. We get out of them, if we do get out of them, exactly when we're supposed to. There's no other way to think about that. That's an empowered way of thinking.
Yeah.
If you care about someone or a relationship, it might take time. It might take a lot more time to decide. But if you slow down and you stop distracting yourself and you just sit with these thoughts, and if you're a religious person or if you're a spiritual person and you pray and you ask the universe or your God for some advice and some guidance, the answer is there.
Yeah.
The answer's there. You just have to be still enough to hear it.
Yes. That's it. You have to be still enough to hear it and get away from the noise.
Yeah.
Because you're right that you already know the answer most of the time. You already know. Thank you so much. I hope that I believe that people will hear that and it will help them make the next step. What advice would Beast Mode Cat, although Beast Mode has always been Cat, because that's who you are in many ways, what would Beast Mode Cat tell Broken Cat?
Little Cat was actually Kathy. And I would say, hey, sweet girl, I know it's hard right now, but you can handle it. You've got this. I am so sorry you're going through this, but at the same time, this is for your benefit. This is for your growth. You are going to be such an amazing adult human. You're going to inspire people. You're going to live a life of service where you feel so good. But the only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to go through some really, really dark times so that you can understand other people's pain better, so that you can be more empathetic and that you don't judge people as harshly. And the only reason why you're going through this is because I know you can. You're so strong And it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. You can have your feelings.
I love that. I felt that in my soul. And look at Kathy now, honey.
Now she's Cat, because Cat, I feel like, is more appropriate for where I'm at now. The
Yes.
people who knew me from elementary school through high school know me as Kathy, and there's a weird feeling every time somebody calls me Kathy because it feels like a different person. Kathy was not empowered. Kathy was really figuring out who she was. Kat was starting to take a stand for herself.
Come on now. Well, I freaking love that. And I would even encourage you, if you haven't already, to write a letter to future Cat, because those are super empowering. Just to where you are today, you're in such a beautiful place. Imagine where you'll be 5-10 years from now. So I'm also curious too. You've talked to little Kathy. You're in such a beautiful place now as Cat, or Coach Cat is what I would also call you. Was there a moment, and I'm sure there was, in your life where you just looked in the mirror and you were like, this isn't me anymore? This isn't me anymore, in the sense of, this person that I'm seeing in the mirror, I know there's greater. I know there's more. I know that this just isn't who I am. I'm in this place, but this isn't who I am anymore.
I don't know if I've ever had that moment. Even when I look in the mirror now, I don't see anything amazing. When I look in the mirror, I just see somebody pleasant.
What?
I see somebody pleasant. I see somebody that I like, but I'm not the kind of person who looks in the mirror and oh, there was a moment. I think it was my 27th birthday, and I got trashed. And I got so trashed that my friends had to pick me up, one on each shoulder, and like bring me upstairs because I was so drunk. And I was in the bathroom, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror and just not liking what I saw. Not liking what I saw, and was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I think that was a reality check for me. I didn't, clean up my act directly after that. But that moment, when people hit rock bottom, that was kind of a rock bottom moment for me, where I was at least conscious enough to see myself in that moment, and I didn't like what I saw. So to go back, like when I look in the mirror today, I see somebody healthy.
Yeah.
I see somebody very healthy. I'm like, oh, your skin is glowing. Your hair looks nice. You got some gray hairs in there, but you're natural, girl, because that's who you are. You're an organic, natural girl.
Come
And
on.
that's your vibe. And you go ahead and own that. And then I look at my muscles and I'm like, okay, taking good care of yourself. You're looking really good for 45.
Come on.
And but I don't dwell on it, because I don't want to have that narcissist vibe either,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I get you. But no, that's a good, going back to the rock bottom moment, like you said, like, you said you were drunk, your friends had to help you up, you saw yourself in the mirror. That's what I'm talking about. Like that moment when you were like, girl, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have those moments, and no, it's not immediate that they start making shifts. But I know I saw the aha moment in your mind when you were thinking and you were like, wait, okay. And you kind of brought it up. But look at how, I mean, to me, from the outside looking in, I'm like, girl, look how far you have come. Your body is banging. Let's just put that out there. It's banging. And you're modeling, and you're a fitness professional, and not only all those external things, you have such a beautiful heart. And that is what I love so much about you, truly, is just your openness, your transparency, and your heart. Your heart is truly beautiful. And I love, love, love the journey. I know it hasn't been easy, but I know that you're a person who's going to keep pushing, and you're going to keep navigating, and you're going to keep showing up for yourself, which is so empowering. And I hope and I believe that this is going to be so empowering for so many women. So I guess before we really end this, we're going to do a groove check, okay? And then I'm going to have a closing question. So the groove check is 10 seconds. You got to answer. You have one word. And so I have 4 questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me 3 songs on your Get Your Groove Back playlist.
One of them I listened to this morning, Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys.
Period.
I think it's called Big Energy by Lato.
Okay. That'll get you pumped up.
I was listening to that this morning as well. And then the other song was absolutely beautiful. And please bear with me because it's totally different from the other two, but it's so lovely.
Yes.
I want to share it because I want other men and women who are feeling this to listen to this song.
I'm
It's
excited.
called Love Mantra, and it's by Dose Via, DOSSE with a hyphen VIA, Love Mantra.
Love Mantra. Okay.
That is a powerful song right there.
I'm going to check that out as soon as we disconnect.
Yes, I'm gonna share it with you.
Yes, send it to me. Okay, Love Mantra. Okay, and then a book that has changed your life.
Well, you know what's really cool? My favorite book by Gregory David Roberts, it's called Shantaram. Shantaram, this guy was an Australian. He was in federal prison. He was a heroin addict and he broke out of prison and lived in the slums of India. And he became a doctor in the slums. He joined the Afghani war. He changed his entire life and lived such a full, rich adventure. It's a wild ride.
Okay, that sounds inspiring.
It's so inspiring and you can change your whole life.
No matter where you come from.
No matter what you come from and no matter what you've done.
That's right. Okay. One thing that instantly shifts your energy.
Breathing.
Nervous system regulation. I love it. Okay. One wellness trend you swear by and one that you'd leave behind.
One wellness trend that I swear by is drinking water.
Yes.
Drink all the water. There's not too many people out there who are overhydrating, okay? So I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, it's possible, but let's go ahead and just hydrate when in doubt.
Yeah.
The one that I would leave behind, there's probably a lot.
Right.
You know what? Aura Ring. Sorry, Aura Ring, but these things that track your sleep and then judge you, I'm not into it. They don't know you. They know a small piece of you. So I got rid of my Aura Ring of several years ago and I'm better for it.
Period. I've noticed that a lot of people get stressed out from the devices. And I'm like, well, the whole point is not to be stressed. And like, oh, my sleep is jacked up. And they're checking it every day.
I've been there.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. All right. So these questions, 2 closing questions I have for you, and it's okay if we kind of go into something broader, but I think these are important questions to ask. So the first one is, what did trauma teach you about trust in yourself, in others, and in the process?
That's a big question.
It's a big one.
The first thing that comes to mind is that trauma initially taught me not to trust others. But as I continue on this healing journey, I have learned that I can and should trust myself.
Yes.
And that includes if I want to give others trust or if I want to take my time. And that's all okay.
Yeah, I love it. Trust yourself. That's where it starts. When you trust yourself, then everything else can flow.
That's it.
Yeah, trust yourself. Okay. And then for the women out there who feel broken, lost, maybe they're stuck in their past, what's the first step she can take to start rewriting her story today?
First of all, know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
There's so many of us that either feel that way or have felt that way. So you're not alone. The second thing is, if you want to rewrite your story, if you'd like to have a glowing next chapter, it's possible. You can totally do it. It will be hard. It will make you confront some things that you might have been avoiding, and it will be painful at times, and you'll question why you're doing it. But I would encourage you to keep going. Keep going because you can do it.
Absolutely. Keep going.
Just keep going. Be okay with quote unquote failures. Be okay with having those steps backwards. Be okay with being extremely uncomfortable, more uncomfortable than you've ever been. That's part of it. That's how you grow.
That's it. And that's the requirement. Be uncomfortable being comfortable.
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Thank you.
I knew what you meant. I
That's
knew exactly what you meant. But
yeah.
that's hard. That's hard for some people.
Yeah.
Saying it is the first part, right?
Yeah.
And I say that to all of my clients and all of my friends and anybody who will listen. Let's start to get comfortable with being uncomfortable until we start to really understand what that feels, looks, smells like. All of it.
Yeah.
Because it can be overwhelming to the senses. But
Mhm.
with it, like anything, the more you do it and the more you expose yourself to these uncomfortable situations, the easier it becomes. And when you can get through some really hard stuff, you realize, well, wait a minute, I'm stronger. If I can get through that, I can easily get through that.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your beautiful podcast and for allowing me to share my story. And I feel so heard and I feel so validated by you. And I'm really hoping that our conversation inspires just at least one person today.
Yes.
The reason why I do what I do is because there are some beautiful people out there who share with me the impact I've had on their lives, and it keeps me going. That's
Yeah.
what keeps me going.
Yeah.
It's not just me, it's you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes. It's my absolute pleasure. I know that this is going to touch so many people. I already know. And again, I appreciate you for being vulnerable, transparent, for sharing, some deep parts of yourself. And I think the encouragement for so many people who are watching is that when you have a story, use that as a part of your purpose at the end of the day. Because as the saying goes, your pain can become your purpose and your mess can become your message. And so thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love that.
Yes, you are truly an inspiration. I love you.
I love you.
Until next time.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.